Hey, everybody.
Hey, Christy.
Victoria, I just realized I could use my Chromebook.
Oh, nice.
Sound would work. Yay, Zoom. Cool. I see Adam on. I think they are together.
Bam.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
What's
Hi.
happening?
Is it okay if we're together?
Totally. I love
Should we be wearing our masks?
it. Totally up to you.
I got my.
I'm not gonna wear
my- This
mine.
is like a
Oh,
it's like a
goodness.
sexy Tucker mask.
It is. Sometimes I was telling Victoria this, like some of them, when they're silky, they remind me of like undergarments and, you know,
I can see that.
it's a little interesting. All
I
right.
came in with those were in here. I was wearing like yellow pants and a black shirt and black shoes. I literally was matching.
Perfect. Perfect accessory. Awesome. Let's give it just a minute or two and I will kick you guys off. Hey, Victoria, did we put their Adam and Emily's the top 20 things for your first year in their drive?
No, but I can.
Awesome. If you don't mind dropping that in there, kind of a good follow-up piece.
It's like right now I'm like setting up and like doing the route and all that stuff, and then it's like she'll text, "Can we throw this one on?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, this one on." And like, "Oh, showing declined." Okay, then I gotta like reschedule. She's like, "Oh, can we throw this one on?" I'm like, "Oh my god."
Mine are all ones. I'm seeing like 4 people in, but it's all like one show, one show.
That house on the corner sold for $298.
My whole street's full. Have you noticed that?
That's insane. What did you buy yours for?
And I've got it moving, and I swear I could sell it like 3. Wouldn't praise, but I would just take it out.
How many bedrooms do you have?
3.
3 or
But
2
it's
baths?
just like really updated. I'm not going to
I freaking love that neighborhood.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, right.
It is the top, or I guess the bottom of the hour, I should say. We're starting at 11:30. I am so excited to have, first of all, to do this as a Zoom call. I think it's more fun to see everybody's faces and reactions, and feel free. This is going to be a very interactive session. It's for you guys. You have 2 top producers from our Crosspoint office here. They're going to share some insight about some things to keep in mind for your first year. Victoria has dropped a document in your Google Drive that just kind of has some of their top tips that they're going to sort of talk through with you guys today. But keep it interactive. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions as things come up. Like I said, this session is all about you guys. And with that, Adam and Emily, I'm going to kick it over to you, allow you guys to give yourselves a quick intro and sort of jump right into it.
Awesome. Can everybody hear us okay?
Yep.
Cool. Thumbs up. So my name's Adam Catron. I am sitting in our new Crosspoint office. It's still kind of weird because I've been with Tucker for 9 years, and I've been in the Castleton office the whole time, so it's a little weird trying to remember Crosspoint. But a little bit about me. I was in the construction business for about 13 years. I was also in the music business for about 13 years. 9 years ago, I got sick of doing all that and got my real estate license. So been with the company the entire time, love it. And we got some cool stuff to talk to you guys a little bit about today. And Emily.
Yeah, my name's Emily Stewart. Also out of the Crosspoint office. I've been with Tucker, it'll be 5 years this September. I basically went into real estate right out of college. I worked for about 9 months and then came home one day, quit my job, told my parents I was going to real estate school. I was 23 and it was a big leap of faith. Anyways, loved it ever since. It's been crazy 5 years, super fun. So I'll talk a little bit about kind of me and how I started, and I was really, really young. So anyways, yeah, Adam and I got a cross point, and we're excited to talk to you guys today. So, and also just feel free to interrupt us or anything if you have any questions. We want to make this very interactive, and it's fun to be on Zoom. I like the Zoom thing. We have done this stuff.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. So yeah, this is not really like a formal thing, and you know, we have a list of 20 things that we've come up with that we think all new agents should just kind of know, understand, or hear about. This is a little bit more time than we normally have, so we might just kind of go off and tell some stories or whatever. But if you guys have questions about anything, go off topic. That's totally cool with us. Just fire it at us. So we'll talk about the first thing that we really think is important on our list. You want to say something about it?
Yeah, so I would say first thing you should do is read the purchase agreement, read the listing contract, read your Tucker documents, all that stuff. You definitely need to know that. I remember Mike Clark, one of our old managers, he helped me write my first purchase agreement. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to figure this out, and now I could write one in my sleep. But I read through it every year, and also the listing contract every year, just to refresh my memory, and they add things all the time. And just remember, when you're writing a purchase agreement, that rules all. So you guys are probably familiar or getting familiar with a BLC sheet. That doesn't matter once you write a purchase agreement, and everything has to be in writing. So just remember to know your purchase agreement, know your listing contract, and ask your managers for help on those. And every year, definitely refresh those contracts for sure.
Yeah, there's a form for everything. So really just go through that forms list and just make sure that you really understand everything. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different forms that we can use to help our clients win the deal over the next guy. You know, we've got certain contingencies that we can put in place. There literally is a form for everything. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do and talk about. You know, I have to tell my clients sometimes it's not HGTV. You know, if it's not in writing, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. You know, there's a couple things that I think our industry plays pretty loose right now. Multiple offer situations. There's actually a multiple offer notification form that we probably should be filling out and sending out to all the parties involved. I'm seeing a lot of agents nowadays just shooting out a text saying, hey guys, highest and best is due by X amount of time. We're in such a seller's market that they can kind of get by with that and do that. But there's one form on there that nobody really knows about, and it's called the withdrawal of counter form or the withdrawal of offer form. So I'll tell you a quick little story since we've got some time. I made an offer for my buyer, and the seller countered us. And when the seller countered us, my buyer was okay with it. And they said, yep, I'll get around to it. I sent it out to him to sign it, and was going to sign it, you know, in the next 20, 30 minutes or so, and we'd get it back over to him and we'd lock the deal in. Well, before my client signed it, the agent texted me and said, Adam, we are withdrawing our counter. We just received multiple offers and are now asking for everyone's highest and best. If my buyer would have just signed it right away before they would have sent any sort of notification, we would have locked in the home and we would have won the bid. So me knowing that there's a form for everything, realized that, hey, this is not the proper way to withdraw a counter. So before I even responded to the text message, I called my client and I said, you need to sign this right now. Get this thing signed as fast as you can. She signs it. I sent it over to the agent and I responded to his text message. Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I just sent you the acceptance. Well, the agent says, well, technically the timestamp on my text message was prior to you guys accepting the counteroffer. Well, I had to remind the guy that, well, the seller is supposed to withdraw their counteroffer and it's supposed to be in writing, and there's a form for that. It's called the withdrawal of counter form. And the guy was arguing with me. I'm not going to say who this agent was, but he's a real estate attorney. And so I told him, and I didn't know this, and I said, I recommend you go contact an attorney and should probably contact your managers and talk to him about this. And so I later found out that he was actually an attorney, but he didn't know about the form apparently, or just thought that he could get by with it being lazy. I said, I'm going to have my client contact an attorney. The next day we kind of waited around, but he got back to me and said, you're right, Adam, there was the form. We didn't use that form. Apparently my text message isn't strong enough. So reluctantly, we're going to go with your offer. So know all your forms. There literally is a form for everything.
I know. Go ahead.
good story. Thank you for sharing that. And you guys, these two are so right, especially with knowing your purchase agreement. That's going to be the contract you're going to spend the most of your time on, especially as a new agent. And don't forget, you have multiple copies of that purchase agreement in the binder that we gave you. We'll go over it in detail next week, but it is your job to read it, like Emily said, word for word. So there's some homework for you guys for the weekend. All right, back to you.
Number 2, use your managers. Kind of goes off a little bit of what we were saying. Remember, they're there to help you. They want you to succeed. My first year was kind of a running joke. Every time I came downstairs, I had a question for Mike or David, and I didn't care because I wanted to know how to do things right. And I really, really wanted to learn the business. And just remember to use them. I probably talk to one of them every day. To give you an idea of now of my life with them, I probably maybe have a question once a week. So just remember, ask for their help, and it just takes time to learn things. I remember my first year, just things taking forever and you don't know what to do, but that will pick up as you start to do more transactions. And there's so many things, like I'm in the middle of something really crazy going on today, and I know exactly how to handle it. But 3 or 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't have known how to do that. So just know it takes time. And use them. They really, really do want to help you, and that's why they're here. So,
Yep, we really have the best managers in the business.
There's no company that has managers like Tucker. I will tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, Tucker already has the best training. We've got the best resources available, but when it comes to our managers, they're pros. There's nothing that they haven't seen or experienced, and they are here to help us. They give us 2 for several different reasons, but it's so also we always have somebody that we can go to, for a question.
Yeah.
I've called them, almost in the middle of the night with a problem, and they're been able to help me get it resolved. But with the contracts, go set up a time to sit down with your managers and go through it with them. They'll kind of talk to you about the little nuances on how to write up some deals. There's a couple areas where we can kind of get creative with writing up contingencies, putting things in place to kind of protect our clients. There's a further conditions section in the purchase agreement. One of the things that I did the other day was I had an FHA buyer. And so for all you guys that maybe aren't super familiar with FHA mortgages, the appraisal part of those can be a little bit tricky on older homes, especially if there's peeling paint. So there was a home that had been sitting on the market for a while, and the whole house needed to be scraped and painted, would have never passed FHA. And they were not accepting FHA buyers. Well, I had an FHA buyer who really wanted that house because they loved the little location. So we wrote in the further conditions that the seller has to scrape and paint the entire house prior to closing. And they did it, they accepted it. So get with your managers, they'll kind of help you really go through those contracts so you kind of know the little nuances, kind of how to play with them so you can set your clients up for success. But we got the best in the business. There's no questions, a dumb question kind of thing. So go to your managers, lean on them.
Don't hesitate on any question.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, they are here for you guys so you guys can be successful. That's their number one goal. So get with them, set up a time. I still meet with my managers every 2 weeks. They kind of help me stay accountable. They help me brainstorm. With all the changes that have been happening, you got to kind of brainstorm a little bit and figure out, how to adapt. That's really the key. Christy and I have talked about this, that the agents who are going to be able to last through COVID-19, through quarantines, through down markets, up markets, it's the agents who are able to adapt. And a lot of our managers have gone through a lot of that stuff. So go to them. They'll help you get creative and keep you accountable too.
Number 3, learn the market, know your market. I don't think a lot of people are doing office tours right now, but when that starts again, definitely go on those. Trying to think of anything else we wanted to add to this. We talked a little about this.
Yeah, I think so.
Read articles, stay on top of the market and what's going on. So, yeah.
Well, I think the thing that Emily and I do a lot, we get a lot of our business from being social, and people love to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about faking it till you make it. And this kind of goes along with how do you fake it?
Yeah, we'll skip to 5, we'll go back to 4, yeah.
So knowing your numbers, knowing your stats is important. It's going to make you sound like you know what you're talking about. Like really quick before an appointment, you can look up how many homes sold in a neighborhood and walk in with that information. Knowing the market, like she said, reading the IBJ is a great resource to read. If you guys aren't checking out the IBJ on a weekly basis, get on, check it out. They have a real estate section where you can get in and see what's going on with neighborhoods, everything from Carmel to the south side, with restaurants. Actually, follow the restaurant scene. If you guys aren't foodies, become a foodie, okay? Like, follow the restaurant scene, because in a weird way, the real estate market, I think, kind of trends with it. You know, if you're trying to figure out what's an up and coming neighborhood, most of the time the restaurants come in before the houses start coming up. We're seeing that like crazy right now on 10th Street, a little bit on the east side. And I mean, Fisher's too. They came in with a bunch of, you know, resources, restaurants, amenities, and then all the housing kind of started to follow. So follow IBJ, read their articles, kind of try to be a foodie, follow that trend, because I see real estate kind of trending along with it. But yeah, knowing the market is also going to help you kind of fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that as this next one. What do you want to say about faking it?
I would say that was something I was very insecure about when I started. I was 23. I probably looked 18, and I was like, oh my gosh, no one is going to hire me, this or that. And I started using that to my advantage. I would talk about how I was new. I would talk about I had all the time in the world. I had no kids. I wasn't married. I just got out of training. I have new techniques, knew this, knew that, knew that. And I really used me being new to an advantage. And I would definitely take that advice. I think it worked for the most part. But yeah, just fake it till you make it. I walked in, I act like I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know half the stuff. And just be really, really confident, because nobody wants to hire a realtor that isn't confident in what they're doing. So that's kind of my add to that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, everybody, I think, has heard that term, fake it till you make it, but
Yeah.
like, what does it mean? Like, how do you fake it till you make it, right? Have any of you guys ever walked into a bar underage before you turned 21? Like, that's the
We have one.
Sue, yeah, okay, so that's the idea, honestly. It's the way that you kind of carry yourself.
Yeah, carry yourself like you know what you are doing.
Your posture means a lot, the way that you stand. You know, don't be kind of hunched over with your hands in your pockets. Stand, you know, they call it the power stance. Okay, so that's the body language, the way that you walk, the way that you carry yourself. Walking into a bar like you're not 21 yet, that's kind of going to help you.
We spend a lot of time in bars. We talk about that later. Yeah. Okay.
Real estate agents, I think, in general, spend a lot of time in bars.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say this, the stats part of this, right? So Emily probably understands this. For some reason, everybody's going to ask you, well, how long have you been in real estate? And they ask that because they don't think that you've been in for very long. There's just something about all of us that when we're new, they could smell it on us. We are brand new. So a couple things. Or
they just know. They know you, and they know you just started.
So your friends will all know that you're brand new. And so that's a whole different challenge. But by knowing your stats, you can really quickly learn, okay, this is what does everybody know what the average sale price right now is for Marion County? You know, Sue's on it. So it's little things like that you can look up really quick before you go into a social setting, before you go on a listing appointment, before you go out and show buyers houses. And just by throwing out stats here and there, and just some of the lingo that you guys will learn, makes people start to go, okay, they've been in this for a while. And I don't know when it was, but all of a sudden people just stopped asking me, you know, how long you've been in the business, because I think I just learned how to start talking.
And then they start asking for your advice, and then they start talking about the house you sold, or did you see this? Did you see that? Yeah. And it just takes time. So.
But yeah, fake it till you make it. It's hard sometimes. You're nervous. You're sweaty. You're sweating through your shirt, you know. But stand with confidence. Walk in like you're under 21. Kind of keep that mindset.
Back to number 4. Do they have this pulled up, our list, or no? Christy?
Maybe.
Okay, anyway, stay extremely organized each day. Have a schedule and calendar everything. Adam and I are the same way. Literally everything is calendared. I had a cookout last night that started at 6:30. It was on my calendar. It is an appointment. I told my clients I have to be on by 6 o'clock. Remember to schedule everything, because this business gets really, really, really crazy. And I mean, my hair appointment scheduled, my dinner with my family, my cookout last night. If you schedule everything, I think that really helps you stay on top of things. You know, I lead generate in the morning, and then I do shows in the afternoon. I do this or that. So I would just say really, really organized, because there's a lot going on. Here's his calendar.
I don't know if you guys can see my calendar.
Yeah.
but everything
Because there's a lot
is on
going
my
on all the
calendar.
time. You might be in 5 different transactions and you just need to be on top of, you know, what's happening what day and this day. Every single day, all of my active clients, I have, you know, I write Jessica and what I have to do with Jessica. Maybe I have nothing to do with her, but I go to her file to see what do I need to do for her today. So I would just, this is a business you definitely need to stay organized in. And you'll see a lot of agents who aren't, and that kind of will backfire with all the documents and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of timelines and a lot of dates,
Yeah.
you know, that you, it's kind of our responsibility to make sure we don't miss, you know, like inspection responses and things like that. So the second that you know what timelines are, get them on your calendar. There's a tool that I've been using for a while called Folio. If you guys are interested in helping you calendar all your stuff, Folio will help you calendar everything, stay really organized with your emails. And it's Folio, Folio. Check that out. But you want to be super organized with your day. You know, part of my business plan is actually a daily schedule, so that I know what to do every single day when I wake up. You know, and I have it posted pretty much all over the place. So I know from 9 to 10, I'm checking in with clients or I'm working on the deal. 10 to 11, I'm doing some follow up. I have to put on my calendar to even go eat lunch, because if I don't, I'll book something and I won't eat lunch. So the calendar and staying organized is what's going to keep you in the position where you can keep bringing on more business. You know, I remember we both probably were there where you get 1 or 2 deals under contract and you're freaking out. Like, how am I going to get all this done? I got all this stuff to remember.
And then now, like, I was in the middle of 6 pendings last month, and by first year, I would have no idea what to do, but you have to stay on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you won't sleep at night if you're trying to remember all the dates. So if you guys aren't using a calendar to run your life, just kind of start getting to that point. It actually makes life a little bit easier, I think, as a real estate agent, when everything is just super calendared and organized. So.
Yeah. Kind of going off that to go into number 7, everything is an appointment to your clients. You know, I see a lot of agents, they'll like post that they're at the mall at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, or they're this or that. And sometimes I might run in the mall on Tuesday because I work almost every day, but I'm not posting it. And I think that's very, very important. Your clients want you, they want to think that you're working 9 to 5 really hard for them. So just remember, don't be a lot on social media about other things that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's an appointment. Like my cookout last night, I didn't say I was having a cookout. I said that I had a meeting at 6:30. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my advice on that. Would you go off that? It's kind of rambling, but
no, I think our clients are watching us.
Well, but I was just saying, like, you have to put in things for yourself. But you know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, no, everything is an appointment.
Yeah.
You have to make everything. You're going to go out and have beers with your buddies.
Or it'll take over your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, for some reason, if you say that you're going to go out and you're going to have some fun, your clients feel like that you should be working for them.
Yeah.
You know, and so you'll always kind of want to make them feel like they're number one. And so by saying everything's an appointment, you know, if you've got tickets to a basketball game, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to go watch a basketball game again, but if you have something going on, I say things like, you know, I got a prior commitment that I can't move. But it's always something that has to do with being an appointment, because they really don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care if you're sick. They don't care if you're going on vacation. They still expect you to
and I will say, and Adam, and with me, probably up until this year, I started really doing that because I just did whatever my clients want to do. And I do think your first couple of years, you really just have to drop things and go for it. And I still drop a lot of things for my clients. But, you know, I think once you get a little bit more into the business, you can not say no to things, but you can move things around a little bit. So
like my baby boy just turned 1 year old.
There you go.
Right?
You don't want to miss his birthday.
I had somebody call me saying that they wanted to go look at a house on his birthday, you know? So I told him, unfortunately, I'm all booked up for the day. Would 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock tomorrow work for you? You know, I mean, you have to do that. They don't care. You know, I've had clients go, so are you free this evening? No, and this was before I learned that everything's an appointment. I said, no, you know, I've got something going on with my dad. I haven't seen him for a while. Okay, well, do you think you could squeeze this in? And like, they don't care, you know? It's like, oh, I haven't seen my dad for a while, but yeah, sure, you know.
And
show
this
you
market
how-
is so fast, and that's why you have to just kind of go out and see things. So,
So yeah, set boundaries,
set boundaries as best you can.
and
That's
the
our
best way to do
rambling.
that is say everything's an appointment.
And we haven't figured it all out either. It's hard. It's okay to not know the answer to every question. I remember someone telling me this in this exact same training. It's okay to not know everything. We don't know everything. You're going to be in different transactions, different situations all the time. I always say it's better to get the right answer than give the wrong answer. So I would have clients all the time, you know, or randomly they'll ask me something. I'll say, you know what, I'm not sure, but let me find that out for you and confirm that. So it's not really saying no, it's just saying, let me confirm that. So that's kind of a phrase I use. I don't know what you say.
So I have always been kind of taught to never say, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, say that I'll find that out for you, or let me double check.
Let me double check that for you.
I want to make sure that I'm telling you right, but I don't ever say, well, I don't know. You know, there's always something that
Yeah,
you
don't
kind
say
of
I don't know yet.
provide with that. But you know, I think it's always a learning business. You
I
know,
do have a
they-
question about that.
Yes.
One of the things I had learned in our training when we got our license, and I'm not sure about other people learning this, is there's some things we really shouldn't answer because we're not the individual that holds that information. So it would be okay sometimes to refer them to go look at the source itself and say, hey, I can help find the information for you. Here's some good resources, you know, dealing with certain technicalities like zoning areas. We're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't know the answer, if you just have no idea what a variance is or how to pull it off, you know, guide them to the title company. You know, so one of our jobs also as real estate agents, I think, is to be a resource for resources.
So in zoning, in that example, I would say, let me find that out for you and you do the research for customer service, you know, giving them customer service.
Yeah, we probably do that. We probably say, you know, that's a great question. My title company will be able to answer that for us. No problem. I'll get you an answer right away.
Okay, because we were taught for like things like that in our last class to refer them to the like the actual sources with the government for that. So that's why I asked that.
Yeah, I do. I think as a new agent, I recommend just deferring as much as you can. You know, when they say, well, what's my monthly payment truly going to be on this?
Yeah, that's
You know?
the lender. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to tell you the wrong. That's why we have the amazing lender that we do at Tucker. I'll get him on the phone. We'll get that question answered for you right away. We do really have a guy for everything. We've got resources that other companies don't have. I mean, we've got brokers right there, or, you know, mortgage brokers right there in our office to ask questions to. And a lot of them will get on the phone for you, you know. I've done it where we're actually doing a consultation together with the client. So it's okay to bring in outside resources, just have them in your phone ready to go.
And I think that's an excellent point. Just to add to that, what you guys said, one of your number one jobs is figuring out who those resources are, or what the site is for that. Schools are a big one that I get questions about all the time, because that's kind of my sphere, people with young kids. And I just know that I'm going to refer them to greatschools.org. I am not going to say, oh, that's an awesome school district, because that to me, that's a different perspective for someone else. So figuring out those resources. And I think I showed you guys in my drive, I have a whole folder full of resources, and it's every piece of what I need to know so I can refer to the right person. Good question, Liz.
Also, to continue on that question, what about things, because we got to be careful, I guess, in the legal sense, like, is this a safe neighborhood? Things like that. I think those are definitely maybe more of the resources you might want to direct them, because you don't want to make a certain neighborhood look bad, but that could be a common question.
Yeah.
Particularly in today's environment.
No.
And there's good and bad in every neighborhood.
For sure.
Yeah.
So there are awesome resources online that people can look up themselves, and they are welcome to contact the police department or whatever that might be in that specific area.
Yeah, so I got another funny little story. So in the purchase agreement, when you get down towards the back of the purchase agreement, it does lay out some of these resources. If you're concerned about meth labs, there's a website for that, where it will show you where all the known meth labs are, right? There's also the sex offenders website that you can check out. So I always try to do a buyer consultation with all my buyers, where I sit down, I walk them through the process, and really come up with a good game plan for them, set them up for success. And it takes a lot of the stress and anxiety out of it once they know all the steps involved. So I kept trying to get this buyer to sit down with me, and she didn't want to sit down. She kind of kept coming up with excuses. but she didn't really have a house that she wanted to go look at. So I think that she just wasn't sure that she was ever going to see the right house. And so she just never wanted to take that time to sit down with me. Well, all of a sudden, the right property pops up, right? And she's dying to get into it. We got to go right now. And I'm going, every time I've not done a buyer consultation, by the way, with a buyer, it's been super stressful working with them because they don't know all the steps involved and they don't want to listen to me. And it's just, we're almost going about it backwards. So I said, anyways, let's go out there and let's take a look at this house. So we walked through the house. They love the home and they're looking at each other and they're like, well, what should we do? What should we do? And they go, okay, well, let's make an offer. So I start going through the offer with them right there in the house. And we get to that back part of the purchase agreement where it lays out some of the resources. And I say, if you guys are concerned about meth labs, there's a resource for that. And if you're concerned about sex offenders, there's a website for that. And she goes, yeah, good idea. Honey, get on the sex offenders website and look it up here real quick while we're putting together the offer at the house.
Oh gosh.
Okay, and so I'm sitting here and I'm getting ready to kind of fill out some of the last details and get ready to turn it to him to sign it. And he goes, is that north or is that north? And I go, that's north. He goes, we have a sex offender next door. And I jokingly said, well, hey, at least you know where they live. And he goes, good point. Yeah, okay, let's do it. And wrote the offer and still bought the house. But I did my due diligence.
They still live there?
Yeah, they still live there. I did my fiduciary duty. I showed them what the resources were.
Yeah, you
He
just
did
threw
look
in
it
there.
up. But yeah, so yeah, be the guy that's got a guy for everything. I think both of us have, you know, if you got you need an electrician, plumber, roofer, we've all got those resources. We can call somebody right away and get answers for questions.
And you'll get people on your list over time. I mean, I would say probably last year, like my people that I work with all the time, and I went in and out of people, and then now they kind of just, they all work for me and they show up and they're ready. So yeah. You can kind of go into 8 and 9 if you want to talk about those two.
Yeah, so
And combine them.
I think one thing that some agents, I think they understand it, but they don't focus on it or really think about it too much, that this is your business. You guys are now all self-employed business owners. You guys run a small business.
It's like you're opening a store, you're opening a shop. It's
This is
yours.
You know, this isn't a sales gig. You know, I don't know if anybody comes from the sales background, but this isn't the business where you show up and the phone rings and you just do business. This is something where if you don't wake up and get out of bed, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to get business. Your phone isn't going to ring. This is your business. You got to go make it happen. But then also set it up like a business. Get an accountant. If you guys don't have an accountant, go talk to an accountant. One thing that I would recommend if you start getting pretty successful is look into what it might take to start an LLC for yourself. Do you have an LLC?
I do not. I do my taxes different than you. Yeah.
So
But everybody, you should have an accountant.
Yeah.
And you should start tracking your expenses and all that stuff, because it will all start to, everybody needs to buy a business credit card. That is something I know we both.
Yeah, you
on
should
that.
go start a business account at
Yeah.
a bank and start pushing all of your money through there so you can really kind of manage your business funds. When it comes to tax time, you're going to want to be really organized with this business. So also being self-employed, I am not an accountant. I'm not giving any advice. This is my disclaimer. But for me, there was a year where I got bumped up to the highest tax bracket that you can get bumped up into. And then because I was self-employed, they added on an extra 15% self-employment tax. So I was paying like 48% of my money back to the government. And my accountant was the accountant that I had when I was back in my band days when I was a musician. And I didn't make a whole lot of money as a musician. And I don't think that he ever expected me to make good money doing real estate or be successful. And so the year that I did really well, he's like, oh crap. Okay, yeah, I didn't think you'd even make it this far, Adam. We need to set you up so we can defer some of this tax liability. So really start thinking about this as this is your business. So think about it as a business owner and set yourself up to kind of manage it on the back end like a business.
Yeah, you need professional advice, definitely being self-employed for whatever route you want to take.
Do you use QuickBooks?
Yeah, I use QuickBooks.
I use QuickBooks.
The first thing I did though, my first week, was I went and bought a business credit card. And you know, I charge every drink with a client, every gas, every gift I buy a client, every dinner, all that stuff, and it'll start to add up. So, you know, I have QuickBooks and I can kind of see like what I was spending and this or that. So yeah. And it, you know, you write off your miles and all that stuff. So, but QuickBooks is amazing. That is something that is a really helpful thing for me.
Yeah,
So.
I use QuickBooks as well. I used to use an old version of it. I've switched to the online version where it just basically, if you have a business account set up like Emily and I do, it just pushes the numbers through, makes it really organized. You can print out profit and loss reports and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, just know that you're a business owner. If you're not getting up out of bed and you're not, you know, we eat what we kill in this business.
Do we have a question?
Yeah. So you said you got a business credit card, but I mean, you said you didn't have an LLC. So you're just saying you have a credit card designated that you use for your business? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the best one towards miles or towards gas, because I spend majority of my money on gas. I didn't mean an actual business credit card. I just might have a credit card that goes just towards real estate stuff.
How many people in the business usually set up an LLC? Is that the most common, or do they just do it like you do?
Well, in my opinion, every accountant has a different opinion. My accountant has a different opinion of way that I'm doing things, but I'm also not married, don't have a kid. There's all sorts of different routes, so it just depends. Did they give Christy advice on like an accounting company?
We'll actually put a CPA in front of you guys towards the end of our training. I want to say it's day 9 or 10. He will kind of just give you just some basic things to think about, and he can be a great resource if you don't already have a CPA that you're comfortable talking with. Again, like Emily said, everybody's situation is going to be so different. So like for me, I have an S Corp, and that's just what happens to work for me and my family. So, and I didn't set that up until I think was maybe like year 3 or so. So you guys are probably fine for now, but it's just a seed that we want to plant with you. It's excellent advice. So definitely, you'll meet somebody that will be a great resource.
Yeah.
Also, CPAs can be really wonderful people for you guys to network with and help each other grow businesses. So while you'll meet somebody that we bring in front of all of our lead classes, don't hesitate to get involved and get out there and ask your friends who they use, and try to find someone that you could really partner with to help each other grow their businesses.
The only thing I'll end with that is, regardless of whatever your accountant says, 100% everyone should get a credit card that just goes towards real estate expenses, and everybody should get on QuickBooks. I think I pay like $5 a month. So that would be my advice on that. I'm not an accountant, but I would say everybody should get a credit card. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I went a different route. I just set up a checking account,
Okay.
a business checking account at my bank. So I have a debit card for it, but it's basically just a checking account.
But it still goes to all of your real estate, like just having one card that you know all goes to that, because you have it in between all your personal things. It could be like a lot going on.
My first year.
Does that make sense?
So my first year, I literally thought that I could keep track of all this in my head, right? All my money, man. It's like I'm dumping money in, and I was making money doing the band sort of thing. And
so
I literally thought, like, if somebody asked me today, I could go, yeah, this is how much my business is. And no, I was so far off. Like, it ruined me on my taxes. I had no money for taxes. And I couldn't figure out what any of my expenses were. So more than anything, I think the whole point of this, what we're saying is hire an accountant, but figure out a way to keep all your money separate. So you can really just run this as a business.
Yeah. Number 10, give good service. It'll take you far. Be honest, caring, serve your clients. I will tell you, I've had $1 million buyers, and I've had $100,000 buyers or clients, and I treat them all the same. They call me at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I'm going to answer. I remember going to this business and I said, I'm going to treat every friend, family member, every client the same. And I very, very much stuck by that. And I think it's really important, and it will take you far. So
that's going to lead to a good referral business. And the referral business is a good, easy, fun business. It's not fun cold calling. It's not fun, doing all the grinding kind of stuff. It's always a little bit of a grind, but giving good service is going to set you up for this awesome future business. One book I always recommend, if you guys haven't read it, is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you guys haven't read that, whatever book you're reading right now, put it down, read that book. It was the best thing that I ever read, just getting into just being able to deal with people in general. So it's Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's really kind of story-based in a lot of ways, where it gives you examples on how to handle a crazy client. Like, I've actually used it as a resource to go back and go, how do I deal with this client? I know there's a story that kind of relates to something like this. So this is all about giving good customer service to people to set you guys up for an awesome business down the road.
Yeah. And kind of going off that, and we'll go to the next topic, is, you know, I see a lot of agents, like, they'll sell something and they'll calculate how much they're going to make. I never, ever, ever calculate, never look how much I'm going to make. Well, first of all, it hasn't closed yet, so I haven't gotten paid. And number two, I don't want that to get in my head. You know, serving my $1 million client to my $100,000 client. I don't want to focus on I'm making more money on this client, because I don't want to deter that from how I'm going to act. So, you know, don't ever look at it that way. So.
Well, and be 100% honest with people too. The hardest thing is when you've got somebody that there are people out there that shouldn't buy houses, right? And so I actually told a girl the other day that you shouldn't buy a house. I said it in a very nice way. What happened was she actually made an offer on a property, and the seller countered, and she was probably a little bit too early into the game to be buying a house. And through me listening to her talk, she was so stressed out about making this decision and trying to buy a house.
Time.
And the money was going to be really tight. She hadn't quite saved up enough money yet. She thought she could make it work if her boyfriend moved in with her, and it just started getting really complicated. Well, this can kind of be a fun business. And so I said, look, you know, sometimes it makes more sense to take a step back and really think about things. You know, you're in a good position right now where you don't have to go buy, and with the family. And so one of the things I told her was, you know, sometimes changes kind of screws with things, right? Changes and money being tight is not good for relationships, right? Sometimes we have to turn into kind of a counselor with these people.
Yeah, I always say I'm half therapist, half realtor.
And so talking to this girl after a while, I realized that she shouldn't be buying a house. And I said, I don't want to see you screw up this new relationship with your boyfriend because money's tight. I don't want you to be stressed out and losing sleep. She just made it. She didn't even get her offer accepted, and she's telling me how much she's losing sleep on it.
Yeah, then that's not good. Yeah.
Maybe the timing isn't right for her to buy a house. And so I said that. I said, you're going to get a house one of these days, okay? And it's all going to work out. Once the stars will align for you. But right now, I don't know if it makes sense for you. I'd say, and it's actually how I phrased it was, I said, if you weren't thinking about buying a house at all right now, would you have any of this stress? She's like, no, this is stressing me out. I said, would you feel better if you weren't buying a house right now? She goes, yeah, I probably would. I said, well, let's just not do it right now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not getting out of the business. I'll be here for you once you're ready to go. And I was referred to her by her sister, who's a past client of mine. She went and told her sister how awesome that was, that I was honest enough to tell her that she shouldn't be buying a house, and give her an honest opinion on where she was at as an outsider. That's going to get me more referrals than anything if I tried to push her through that deal.
Yeah.
So being honest with that girl, telling her that she shouldn't buy a house is going to lead, I'm going to get business out of her at some point, and I'll probably get more referrals than I wouldn't because I wasn't honest and just tried to get a deal out of her.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Given a good
my
service.
Biggest referral client was my lowest end client I've ever had. Biggest referral. I think he's referred me 10 clients. And his transaction was probably top 5 worst transactions ever. And he said at the end, I can't believe you stayed along this whole way with me. And he has sent me more referrals than anybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you do it right, your clients will bring you gifts on closing day.
Yeah.
I always try to bring a little something on closing day, but every once in a while I got a $50 Visa card.
Yeah.
I made like 10 grand on the deal. I'm like, I appreciate it, but so yeah, give good service. It'll take you a long way.
Number 11, that's your thing.
Yeah. So I was super freaked out when I got into real estate.
It does not matter what kind of car you drive. They don't have this in front of us.
Oh, they don't have. Okay. So it doesn't matter what kind of car you drive. And I think there's a lot of agents that are kind of freaked out about their car that they're driving. You don't have to have some high-end Mercedes, it just needs to look good, take the cigarettes, out of the ashtray, throw away the McDonald's bag, maybe, keep the car cleaned out. Although I don't think we're really showing houses in the same car anymore. Back in the day, we used to go pick up the client and drive them around. And for, I think, relocation, sometimes I'll still pick people up at the airport and drive them around town, but it doesn't really matter what kind of car that you drive. So when I first got into the business, I was driving a 1997 Cadillac Sedan DeVille. This thing was freaking sweet, man. It was like dark blue, the bench seats in the front and the back, and it was like mint condition too. Had the chrome wheels. Like, I thought I was like super cool driving this car around. And people would make fun of it. Some people they just thought it was like a cool vintage car. And so I remember it was either a showing, no, it was a listing appointment where I was too nervous about my car. I didn't want them to see what car I drove, so I parked kind of around the corner and like walked down the street to the house because I didn't want them to see my car. So if you're worried about your car at a listing appointment, just park down the street, walk up, and they'll never see it. Or if you got a nice car, go get it cleaned up and park like perfectly in the window so that they can see you get out and you look like you're making some money because you know what you're talking about. But having the car, really, it doesn't matter. One of my favorite sayings in life is this: the clothes that you wear on your back, or the smile that you wear on your face, is more important than the clothes that you wear on your back. The way that you present yourself and carry yourself is the most important thing. So just keep that in mind. I think as long as your car can drive the speed limit and you can get places quickly, you're good. Doesn't really matter what it looks like. But I joke all the time that I swear that if you just had a cell phone in a car, you can make sky's the limit money in real estate. So you have to at least have a car, but it doesn't really matter what kind of car that you drive. Image
goes back to just being confident.
Yeah, image has kind of changed a little bit with real estate. You don't have to wear the three-piece suit and drive the Mercedes anymore.
I have a jumper on. This is what I wear because I'm showing houses all day. So, but I dress for my clients, and so does he. I'm working with a lot of young people today, and they're all friends of mine. And I'm wearing a jumper and my headband. That's what I wear. But if I have an older client, I'm going to be dressed up in probably some heels. So that's another thing we don't talk about. Yeah, I dress for my clients usually. So, and I actually always have a spare outfit in my car, depending on what the day is going to go by. So, yeah.
So it's funny, when I got into the business, I had an appointment, a listing appointment, and I was all dressed up one day, and somebody saw me in the office and they said, "Hey, you got a closing?" And I'm like, "No, I've got an appointment." And I think for a while, like, agents only dressed up when they had a closing because they're like getting paid or something, right? First impression is everything, you guys. I don't think we have this on this list, but first impression is everything. Yeah. So I'll do some research on my client. I'll find out, I'll look them up on Facebook, see what they're kind of into. Yeah. Building rapport on a listing appointment is huge. There's this thing called affinity that you can have for somebody just by looking at them real quick. Like why do some people just trust people as soon as they look at them, right? There's a way that you can dress. If I know it's an older lady, I'm probably going to put on a tie and wear a sport coat and try to look really good. If it's one of my buddies that knows me and he knows me from my musician days, I work with a lot of musicians and a lot of people in the service industry. If I show up with a tie, they're going to laugh at me. Yeah. So there isn't really one look anymore. I think you got to, like Emily said, dress for your client.
I definitely dress for my clients, but I always have a backup for whatever, so yeah. Number 12, have fun. Remember, this is a fun business. Your clients want to have fun. I try to make it fun. Be enthusiastic, smile. I've had bad days. I've had stuff go on in my life, and then I just have to snap up and be there for my client. But be enthusiastic. They're excited to find a house. I think a lot of people, when they start out, they'll work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and they're nervous and they're excited. So try to make it as fun as you can. If I have kids in my car, this or that, I always have snacks. If I have a client that has a bad day, I might pick up some flowers for them. So just try to make it fun. So, and you'll have fun. Like today, I'm going to be out with my clients, and it's going to be a good day. So I'm excited.
Yeah, the more fun you can try to have in this business, the more creative that you'll end up being. Yeah. Which that's really what it takes when it comes to any of the marketing and advertising that you guys are doing. If you're having enough fun with this business, you'll come up with stuff that nobody else is really coming up with. A funny little a story. Christy's heard me say this a couple times. So I'm driving around, like business is starting to be kind of good. I'm having a lot of fun with the business, and I'm trying to come up with just something cool, something different. And do you guys remember the Cash for Gold guys? It's kind of like a dying business. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any Cash for Gold guys anymore. But there was this awesome Cash for Gold guy at 71st and Keystone. That's about 71st and Keystone. And he had like this gold suit on, this gold top hat. And I'm like, I'm going to get that guy to go do my open houses and stand out in front of my open houses. I parked and I walked down the street. And I was walking down the sidewalk. He's like, oh shit, this guy's going to start talking to me. Oh man. And you could tell he like doesn't really like people, talking to people all that much. I walked up, I said, man, you are the best Cash for Gold guy I've ever seen. I want you to come do some parties with me, come do an open house. Like, what do you charge, man? He's like, I don't know. Like, I go, what'd you do, like $10 an hour? He goes, and I'll give you $20 an hour. Come do my open house for me. He's like, oh, okay. So this guy would stand out in front of my open houses with a Tucker sign, rocking it like a guitar, and like jumping around just like a Cash for Gold guy would. I had so many people driving by the house. It was just something fun like that. And you take a picture of him and put it on Facebook. If you get on my Facebook page and you scroll far enough, you'll find the guy. But something like that is fun. Another couple little things that I've done in the past that are kind of fun. If you're showing houses and they've got little kids that are running around like crazy, bring a tape measure and tell them to just go measure stuff.
I bring snacks.
And then the buyers will actually pay attention to the house and what you're saying because their kids are running around measuring stuff.
Yeah.
Another fun thing that I've done is I was doing a closing. They couldn't figure out what to do with their little girl. I think she was 4 years old, so she was going to be all over the place. Closings take 45 minutes to an hour. And so the parents were kind of freaked out that like it was just going to be a nightmare in this closing room. So I had the title company draw up some mock closing documents for the little girl to sign. And so while we were there, everybody was signing stuff. The little girl got to sign some things along with us that kind of kept her chilled out. So it was a fun thing to do. It made them have a fun experience. So yeah, have fun. It'll help you brainstorming, marketing, and just goes along with that customer service for your clients.
Number 13, set a yearly goal. Adam has a little more of a process than me. I don't really have a process. I set a goal every year, and then once I sell anything, I deduct it from that, and then I usually divide every month how much I have to sell until the end of the year. I always goal myself usually like $1 million or $2 million over my last year. Yeah, I have it basically right in front of me every single day. I don't pay too much attention to it, but every single day I look at it and I know exactly what I've sold, exactly how much more I have to go. It kind of goes back to, you know, when I was talking about how much money you're going to make this or that. I try not to focus too much on the goal because I don't want to turn into a salesperson. Like I'm trying to sell something, just like his example of the girl who wasn't ready. But everybody, I think, should have a goal, and you should know what it is. And you'll remember it if you look at it every day. But just don't focus too much on it, but definitely have it in writing. Because I think that just sticks in your head more. Would you agree? Or in a document or something. If you don't look at it every day, definitely look at it once a week. So
Emily's better at tracking her stuff. Like I have no idea where I'm at right now.
Oh, I thought that you do track on your thing.
I'm trying to get better at tracking.
I mean, there's I don't know if you guys still have that sheet, Chrissy, but it was like divide by, you know, they'll give all sorts of different things. I'm very simple with mine. I have a goal of 12 million this year, and then how much I've sold, this or that. So well,
I write my goal everywhere. So everywhere that in my office, a couple places at my house, I've got my goal written down. And unless you write down your goal with an actual pen on actual paper, it won't set. There is something that psychologically happens. There's a connection between the physical action of writing it down in your brain that starts this manifestation of this goal. And I 100% believe, you guys, you can manifest anything that you want in life with your brain, good and bad. But I really think that you can manifest your success. And it was probably my 3rd year into the business when I realized this. Every year that I've written down my goal, and I go through my same process, and I put a lot of focus on it every single day. And I have, you know, I do daily affirmations. I do a lot of things to keep my head straight, focused on the prize. And I truly believe that we can manifest anything that we want in life. So writing down a goal, I think, is super important. As you get a little bit farther into the business, you'll start to kind of quantify that goal and try to figure out, okay, I got to go on X amount of listing appointments that are going to lead to X amount of sales that's going to get to my goal. Right now, I don't think you really need to stress yourself out over that. Just come up with a goal and shoot far. I don't know, there's
Yeah,
some kind of cliche
far.
saying in there, shoot super
I try
far
to
and you
shoot
get
for a goal that
halfway.
I'm not going to reach. And then when I reach it,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow. And my goal this year, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to shoot high because I don't want to shoot low.
Yep.
Yeah.
Set a goal, write it down for sure, and you'll start manifesting your success.
Know what you're good at, focus on what is working and forget what is not. I remember my first year, everybody was doing the same thing. They were doing open houses, they were doing pop buys, all these things. I started doing all that and it was not working for me whatsoever. I would go to open houses and I didn't really enjoy them. And so I don't think I was picking up clients that way. And I never forgot a meeting I had with David Jesse, one of our managers. And, he was like, where are you getting your business, this or that? And, I was like, I'm going out to the bars and that's where I'm picking up business. And I remember saying to him, I'm really tired today though. I don't think I'm going to make it out tonight. And he was like, well, you need to go home and take a nap. And I was like, well, why? And he was like, because you need to go to work tonight because that's where you're picking up your clients. And so then I haven't done an open house in years because it wasn't working for me. So I started really thinking about what was working, and it was going to dinners, going to events, going to bars. And so that's what worked for me. And I think that your first year you get thrown at like all these things you can do. And I think pick a couple things and try them. Maybe in a couple years I'll start trying open houses again. I don't know yet. But what I'm doing right now is working. So I started focusing on that. But yeah, I think don't try everything. I think try a couple things and just run with it that way. If something isn't working, take it out and focus on something else. Because I was putting all my energy into open houses and then I was exhausted on Monday and it wasn't working. So
I love that story. With
yeah,
David.
he was like, go take a nap. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like 1 o'clock, but okay. Yeah.
So my business and Emily's has kind of been built the same way.
Socially.
We're out social all the time when you could really be out social. So same thing with me. I did not like doing open houses. I just couldn't seem to get business doing open houses. So I was doing an open house once, was there for an hour and a half in a 2-hour open house, and not a single person walked into the door. And one of my favorite bars was just right around the corner. And I feel guilty even saying this, but I had been doing open house after open house after open house, nothing, no business. I'm there for an hour and a half, not a single person walked in. I said, screw it. I pulled my sign. I left the open house early and I went to the bar. And when I walked in, the place was jam-packed full of people. And I was all dressed up, looking like I just left an open house. I had my name tag on, which you guys should do. And as soon as I walked in, I got into 10 real estate conversations and ended up getting an appointment out of it. And so I realized at that point, instead of me doing open houses, I'm just going to go to the bar. And for a while, I would actually dress up and make it look like I did an open house, and I'd just go to the bar all dressed up. So people would be like, well, what? Did you just leave church? It's like 2 o'clock. I said, no, it's just not working. So stick to what you know, what you're good at. One thing I will say is FC Tucker has one of the best marketing departments in the business. So if you guys aren't good at marketing, it's a huge thing for our business right now. Go to the marketing department, sit down with them. You can set up an appointment. They'll help you with your website. They'll help you come up with custom marketing materials. So lean on them. It's another great resource that we've got here. And it helps us not have to really be an expert at all that stuff.
Oh my God, it's
Jump in really quick. We have a few minutes left, but there's a couple good questions that I want to make sure you guys are able to address while they've got you live. I think it was Marty that asked, what gifts do you typically take to closing? Do you have a go-to, or is it different? Has it changed over the years? What do you like?
I used to have kind of a standard. I was doing the Cutco knives thing. Everybody gets a Cutco knife, right? Well, I realized that it wasn't my style. It wasn't really personal enough for me. I had a closing in Anderson this morning, and he said a couple times throughout us working together that he loves watching movies and he loves sitting down with his kids and and just having a movie night. And so my wife is awesome. She helps me put together these closing gifts. I kind of tell her what I'm looking for. So we put together a movie night package for this guy. Popcorn, 3D glasses, all the stuff that you could get, and he freaking loved it. Probably the thing that I use more often than not is a custom cutting board. So I've got a girl up in Noblesville who makes these custom cutting boards for me. I'll put the address of the home. Although wait to do a custom gift a little bit closer to closing, because I have had custom cutting boards made that didn't close. So
I don't have anything specific. A little thing that I started doing this year, because I didn't really have a budget on what I was going to do for everyone. Like, I would be spending more than I should have, this or that. So I actually spend whatever I'm buying, $25 every 200,000. So let's say I sell a $400,000 house, I'll spend $50 on something. So I kind of budget myself on that. I usually go a little bit over. It just depends, and it just depends on the client. So, but I try to do something a little bit personal. I do a lot of champagne, so that's my thing. But.
And I typically only do gifts for buyers. They just spend a ton of money, man, trying to get these keys, and so I feel like I want to give them a little something. My gift to you sellers is that I sold your house. And
I
just
do
put a bunch of money
gifts for both. It just depends who you are. Sorry, we'll let you go on the next question.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Christy.
No, that was good. The other question that we have in the chat is, have you guys found your annual income comes more from new business that you've pursued or from referrals? Maybe how has that evolved over time?
I think definitely referrals. I mean, obviously at the beginning, it's a lot of new business, because there's a weird thing that your friends love you, they like, know, and trust you, right? Those are the three things you got to have with a sale to build that trust. But they know that you're brand new, and so they don't want to use you. So at least for me, a lot of my business was new business. And so I think over the years, it's just transitioned to more of a referral income-based kind of business. But I think at the beginning, you got to go out and grind, man. You got to get on the phones. You got to start calling people, cold call people, door knock, whatever you got to do. You got to fake it till you make it before even your friends start really trusting you. And this thing will snowball on you.
Yeah.
If you get up and you start putting in the effort right now, this thing will snowball on you. And in the first, so one of the things on here is I say it takes 3 years to survive and 5 years to thrive. And it's so true. So if you stick with it long enough, it'll turn into this awesome referral business as long as you're doing all the good stuff.
I would say about 75% of my business is referral, and then probably the other part of it is me picking it up. I know that there was a lot of people watching me for a couple years, and they weren't referring me, and now they're starting to refer me and starting to hire me. And just remember, there's going to be people out there, and it takes time. But just remember, we didn't talk about this, but I don't do a lot of mailers. I do one once a year around Christmas, happy holidays, and I write what I sold for the year. And do a little message, and that's kind of my update for people that aren't following me on social media, like this is how I'm doing. And people like getting those. They want to see that you're doing well because there's a lot of people watching you. So, but I would say when I first started, it's probably only 20% referral. And then it gets better over time. And now I'm getting a lot of clients that are selling their house that I sold them their first or second year. So a lot of repeat business. So that will start to come, I think around 4 or 5 years usually. So.
Yeah, awesome. And Mitch asked, do you buy closing gifts with your real estate credit cards? Absolutely. That is 100% tax deductible.
Right it off, yeah.
And then Lauren offered a good suggestion. I love this. She works part-time at Tiffany & Co. and said there's some amazing houseware gifts under 100 or around $50. And I would agree with you, girl. Everyone loves that blue box.
Yeah, who wouldn't want
Adam,
to
Emily, as we kind of wrap this up, anything we didn't cover that you just want to share, like one more nugget for these guys as we kind of give them a quick break here before our next call?
It's a really fun business. We're excited for you guys. I can't believe I've been doing this 5 years, and I've honestly loved every moment of it. Just remember, when you're not busy, give yourself a day off. You know, you'll work a lot, and remember to celebrate your success. Every time I have a closing, I go do something for myself. I usually spend an hour that day doing what I want to do. And just give it time. If you have a slow start, a fast start, and have fun with it. And if you guys ever have any questions, please let us know. We miss not being there, but we like the Zoom. So
Yeah, you guys ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. You know, I think the last thing that I'll say to you guys is just remember that you have a real estate license, okay? You've gone through school. You know how this whole thing works. You know more about real estate than the other guy across the table from you. You're the better trained agent than any of the other agents that are out there because you're with Tucker. I think that there's a huge fear with new agents that, and honestly, sometimes buyers and sellers try to make you think that you don't know what you're talking about. Don't listen to them. You know what you're talking about. You got a real estate license. They don't. Okay, so just have confidence. You guys are going to go out there and kill it.
I love that. Awesome. We appreciate you. The full list of everything Adam and Emily were talking about is in your drive. I know we missed just a couple at the end, but like they said, feel free to reach out. Adam Catron, Emily Stewart at CrossPoint. Thank you guys so much. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll see the rest of you all in about 30 minutes. Talk to you soon.
that's cute. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
I like the Zoom.